you can go to all the parties, you can do all the drugs, you can do all the drinking, but at the end of the day, you come home and you're alone.
August Getty is one of the world's most exciting fashion designers. He's dressed the likes of Miley Cyrus, Ashley Graham, Kerry Washington, and Bebe Rexha. As an openly gay man, he uses his platform to raise awareness about the unique challenges facing the LGBTQ and fashion community, including those related to mental health and addiction. Before appearing on a panel for Given Hour's 2018 Global Summit on Mental Health Culture Change, August sat down with me for a rare interview to talk about his own mental health journey and his hopes for his two communities. We're here today at the first day of the second Global Summit on Mental Health Culture Change. We're in London, England. We did our first summit in Los Angeles, California, and are thrilled to be here now, talking with a number of amazing champions, guests, speakers, about this issue of changing the culture around mental health. And I'm joined by August Getty.
Hi.
Thank you, August, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Your family is actually involved in two of our discussions this week. One is focused on how the fashion industry is sort of taking on mental health. I want to talk about that.
Sure.
And the other is really your family's passion to address, to elevate the conversation about mental health for the LGBTQ community, especially for youth. First, before we kind of get into that, tell me about sort of your career right now. And we were just talking on the way up, you have some exciting sort of developments in that part of your life.
So I have the atelier in Los Angeles, and I've been showing in Milan, and now we're moving it to Paris, and we've kind of reached a new success, and that's why it's important for me to speak out as well, because I'm given the platform right now, so I need to take advantage of it.
Well, first of all, congratulations on
Thank
that. That's
you.
very exciting. But the platform, right?
Yeah.
That's one, and this sort of gets us into what you're going to be talking about on the
Sure.
panel.
Yeah.
That success brings with it pressure too, doesn't it, in the industry?
It does, and some people can't handle it, and some people aren't ready for it. But I have an incredible mother who's guided me through that, and we know that that's what we're meant to do, and it's our path.
And so when you look sort of at the industry, and you know a lot of people in the fashion industry, what do you see in terms of emotional health and well-being and things that concern you, worry you?
Well, I've always said it's a double-edged sword, kind of, because fashion is used to either attract or to distract. And people focus on the person wearing the fashion, but they never really see behind it or see the designer behind it, who's an extremely damaged person a lot of the time. You don't create that kind of beauty without being troubled.
That's an interesting perspective. So you think that a lot of people that are drawn to the industry, they're creating, has got something to do with what's hurting inside?
Yeah.
How do you see that?
Well, for example, with one of my recent collections, I had to really dive into a really deep, dark part of myself, and I didn't have a choice because it was my creative destiny.
Did you know you were going there? Did you know at the beginning?
Oh yeah, I knew. I was like, this is gonna take me somewhere where I don't want to go, but I had to for my work.
Was that part a little scary?
Yeah, definitely. It opened up doors that I blocked out, that I forgot about. I pulled through, but it's a very isolating job because you have to be alone with your work, and you can go to all the parties, you can do all the drugs, you can do all the drinking, but at the end of the day, you come home and you're alone.
Yes.
And there's silence, and the party's gone.
And you're with yourself.
You're with yourself, which is terrifying.
So for you, this last collection, when you knew, sounds like you kind of stepped off the cliff knowing. You knew you were going in. Did you know how you'd kind of recover, heal, come back out of that? Did you know the path back?
I hoped and prayed for my community to support me, my support system, which is the most important thing you can have. A good mother, a good sister, a good friend, and you just need one person to just listen to you.
Yes.
And especially with the youth and LGBTQ youth, they feel like they don't have anybody who's gonna listen to them. Because a lot of times they don't. Nobody's gonna pay attention to a kid that says he's hurting or that he doesn't feel like himself. Everybody's gonna brush that aside, especially in the majority of America, the bigger parts of America.
The center of our country,
Yeah.
right? And that's the other discussion that's happening here, thanks to your family, is those kids who are very vulnerable, the kids often when they're coming out, and what happens to them if they don't have that support system, right? What we know in the U.S. is that a lot of those kids end up homeless, right?
They do, and then it drives them to a path which is even worse, and can lead to so many other tragedies. And they have no choice. Thank God my mom is, she did the incredible gift for GLAAD of $15 million. And she works with the LGBT Center in Los Angeles, and they just constructed a new building for the homeless youth
that's
that
very
I think
cool.
has 200 beds.
Wow. For these kids to have
For
a place
these kids,
to go.
yeah.
Yeah. For you, when you were growing up and you were becoming aware of your sexuality and your identity, what was that like for you? Because in your family where there was support, and I assume you had friends or others that was not the case.
For me, I knew I was gay, but I would date girls or I would watch straight porn. I wouldn't be attracted to them, but I just didn't know that coming out was a thing because I was never told by my parents to be straight. So sexuality was never a conversation. Even though they'd be completely supportive, we were never taught like that. Same with my sister. So the way we came out was just
being
coming
you.
out, right.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever said at one moment, Mom, I'm gay, Dad, I'm gay. I was just like, I'm going on a date with the room service guy. My mom was like, oh, how lovely.
Have a nice evening.
Right, have a nice evening, get home before midnight.
Right. So for you, there wasn't that part wasn't traumatic within
No.
your family of dealing the fear of, am I going to be loved? Am I going to be accepted? That
Right.
you didn't have that.
No.
But did you know people your own age who were struggling with those same moments?
Yeah, I mean, I know somebody now knew he took his life 2 weeks ago.
I'm so sorry.
And he was turning 50,
oh my gosh.
So for some people it never leaves them, that trauma, because he didn't talk to his family, they were in Mexico. And a lot of our friends in West Hollywood, they consider my mom Mama G, Mama Getty. And they all come over to her place. I'll see them at like 4 in.the morning at her apartment. She's like heating up pasta over the stove.
To
We're
take care of
Italian.
them, yes.
Yeah, and because they feel like they don't have a mother from birth or a father from birth or that support system until they moved to West Hollywood. I met my mom.
What do you think is so difficult for families that prevents them from embracing this part of their child, regardless of sexuality or any other sort of thing that might be perceived as different? How do you think about that?
A lot of the times, the parents will be okay with it, but they're acting that way they don't want their kid to be hurt in the world.
You think it's sort of protective?
Yeah, but it's also protecting them because they don't know how they're going to be seen. And then there's this whole religion conversation, and
Yes.
and it's just I can't even fathom that. I'm like stuttering. I can't fathom the thought of believing in a higher power that wouldn't want me to be with my kid.
Right. But you think that there are a lot of people who still get trapped in that?
Sure, 1,000%. And there's people that never come out because of it.
Yeah, and live a lie,
Yeah,
right?
live a lie that will only go out. They'll like fly to a different city just so they can go to a gay club. Meanwhile, their kids and their wife is at home.
And the guilt that they carry with
Yeah.
that. And so back to the fashion industry, do you think the fashion industry, it appears that it's more accepting, it's more tolerant, it's more open, but there's still a lot of pain and suffering in alcohol, substance abuse. Is it because people who are hurting are drawn into that, and then it's a culture that doesn't really address that pain?
Well, we live in a time where we dress people for red carpets and events.
The
and
outside.
Then, right.
Yeah.
And that's why it leads to the drugs and the partying, and because we're dressing people to party. We're dressing people for the party. So it kind of comes hand in hand with that.
It's funny, it's an interesting thing. It's like, what would it be, and I guess some of your work is really speaking more to some of these issues. I remember you talked when we were doing the prep call on the phone about, sort of the armor
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit. That was really cool.
At least in my belief, fashion it's like barbed wire. You know, don't come too close.
Don't come too close.
You can see a little bit on the inside, but don't come too close. It's armor, it's protection. I know Isabella Blow, when she was feeling anxious or down, she would wear a bigger hat.
Yes.
So that she wouldn't be kissed on the cheek.
Yes.
But
And she took her own life.
right.
Yes.
Tragically. But with my clothing, I want you to have that same feeling when you take it off. You know, I make a joke saying that I want my dresses to be on everybody's floor by the end of the night. Because I want you to have that power. I can show you the power, I can put it on you, but I want you to have it internally once you take it off.
What do you think about our societal, the messages now that are coming to, whether it's young men or young women, that, you know, look at me, look at how I look. It is that, you know, the selfies, the pose, the everything. Does that concern you about where we're heading, how we're going to kind of pull back and be more connected again?
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it scares me.
I mean, I scare myself with it. I'll be watching TV with 2 phones in my hand, and I'll totally forget that my best friend is sitting next to me. And then we're all like face tuning our photos and smoothing it out. And then you'll eventually forget what you look like.
Right. It doesn't look like
Inside
that.
out,
right. But it is the pressure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 daughters, they're 18 and 22, and they verbalize, you know, the pressure they feel to be a certain way, look a certain way.
That's important that they communicate that.
Yes. It's a start, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Yes. But the fashion industry, I think we have a long way to go, don't we?
We do.
We should be able to dress fun and express ourselves without it being a mask, a cover, a defense. Do you think we can
actually appreciate it as an art form for yourself and self-expression?
Yes, as
well,
an art
that's a whole
form.
movement too. You know, with I think somebody who does it exquisitely is Lady Gaga.
I was going to say she kind of began that, right?
Yeah, and she, you know, everybody was saying, but it's for attention, it's for but no, that's her.
Yeah,
that's her. And like somebody's got to make those clothes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not her that just made them.
Right. She has been very forthcoming about her own trauma.
Yeah.
And she was very forthcoming about that she used clothing, just like you said, to keep a distance, you know, to keep people
Serve its
away.
purpose.
Yes. So clearly that's something that, you know, confirms what you're saying.
I am glad that she worked through it and she's a little dressed down now,
Yes.
but still fashionable, because if you're not careful, what it's going to do, it's going to trap your trauma in a box. And that box has to go somewhere.
Yes.
And then wherever you are in your life, that box might appear and it might crack a little bit open, and then you have suicide.
Yep.
And then you have darkness, and then you have a flood of emotions that you don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
And you can't put on another hat.
Right. There's
Too
not
many
one big
hats.
enough,
No.
right? That's very, very well said. You know, and I think about, again, sort of my own, you know, girls and dress up and boys and dress up. And then you get to a point in your life that you should have that sense of you inside. Right. It should be that I put on the clothes to accentuate who I am on the inside. And I see sometimes men and women who, as they're getting older, they're still trying to be, you know, 20, 25, and instead of...
They never land on...
No, their identity.
They try to look older, try to be younger.
Yes, and they're not dealing with whatever that's about. Do you think we can get there in the fashion industry? Can we have a healthier...
We can. It's honestly communication and listening to each other, and no more body shaming. And it just takes one person to break the cycle for so many other people. It's the ripple effect.
Do you see out there models, both models and models, you know, people who are sort of pushing back on that? Do you think that's happening?
Traditional fashion houses, they push the hardest. You know, the whole concept of a model in Paris is for them to be a hanger.
Right.
To just see the clothing.
Right.
And they're rail thin, these poor girls.
I know.
And I've always said that my work is like a painting, you know, and I want to be the paint on a canvas. It has to be a symbiotic relationship.
It has to be a real canvas.
Right.
Not a wireframe.
I don't want you to just see the clothing. No hanger appeal.
Right. I like that. That's a logo, right? And what do you think about the LGBTQ community? I mean, we're getting ready to, you know, really try to focus on the mental health issues, we got a long way to go there too.
Longest. Two steps. Right now, unfortunately, it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah.
We just have to take things one at a time. Keep doing amazing things like this summit, and just, if we can open up one person's mind, that's incredible.
And you never know what they might do.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. There could be a little Barbara there, a little August, or a little
That's right.
Ariadne Getty.
That's right.
And they might change the way that they think, and wow.
And they may change the world.
Right.
Well, you are changing the world,
Thank
August.
you.
Thank you for coming to talk with us. Thank you for sharing your heart and soul, your work. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Inner Space. And again, thank you to August for joining me for such an open and honest conversation. Check out DCP Entertainment for more on Inner Space, and be on the lookout for more conversations about mental health.